A man in North Carolina pointed his camera at the sky and captured something that should not exist. A glowing orb, translucent, ringed with light, hovering above a residential neighborhood like it belonged there. This wasn't a distant speck or a blurry smudge on a phone screen. The footage shows structure, a luminous ring around a sphere that appears to contain something inside it. And when a second orb appeared and merged into the first, the video became one of the most watched UFO clips of the year. As the video spreads and experts begin their analysis, one question remains. Are we looking at undeniable proof of something beyond our understanding? Chris Bledsoe orb.
High-res orb from Bledsoe. Look at that.
It's weird as shit. It does not look like any of those other things we've seen before.
Look at that thing.
And it just is weird.
Looks like a cell.
Who is Bledsoe?
Dude.
UFO researcher guy?
Chris Bledsoe. I've had him on my podcast. Bledsoe Said So. That's his podcast. He's fucking awesome. Dude, he's awesome. Yeah.
It is enhanced, it says, but I don't...
See, this is the enhanced one, which means the AI put in some kind of shadowy figure in the back. If what
if this is just like a highly advanced species version of those balloons that kids have for parties?
I know, dude.
I mean, what if they just send them down to people? That's what's fun. Like, you know how you blow bubbles? You have these dipping in the soap and you go, and the bubbles go flying in the air?
I know, dude.
Maybe that's a super advanced version of that.
It could just be, it does have a bubble quality to it.
But this is the other thing. It's like, why are we assuming that life is going to look anything like us once it gets to like a supreme state?
Exactly.
Well, that might be a living thing.
Right.
That might be an actual living thing that's disembodied and is made out of light.
A video released by Chris Bledsoe on April 8, 2026, is quickly igniting debate and fascination across the internet. Many are calling this one of the clearest recordings of a mysterious aerial phenomenon ever captured. At first glance, this footage seems simple, showing a glowing orb suspended in the night sky. But within seconds, it becomes clear that this isn't an ordinary light. The object is striking and defined. It is a near-perfect sphere, radiating an intense yet soft glow that subtly pulses as if it's alive. Unlike the drones, planes, or stars, this orb doesn't flicker or drift. Instead, it hovers with precision. Its movements are smooth, controlled, and eerily deliberate, causing experts to question whether it is not just moving, but reacting to something. Even more unsettling is what happens as the footage continues. The orb seems to maintain a consistent distance from the person filming, almost as if it knows that it is being watched. It doesn't dart away or approach randomly, but it holds position with intent. This behavior alone has set it apart from countless previous UFO sightings. Bledsoe has documented similar UFO sightings in recent years, and claims that this is not an isolated event. According to him, these glowing orbs have been appearing often and getting closer. What were once distant, barely noticeable lights in the sky are now becoming direct and almost personal experiences. But he said this video is the clearest evidence he has ever captured. But the mystery has deepened. Online analysts and ufologists who examine the footage frame by frame report that there's something even more bizarre. They saw faint patterns within the orb itself. Some claim to see shapes that resemble symbols or markings embedded in the glow. These details are subtle and highly debated, but they have fueled intense speculation that this object might actually be capable of communication. When asked in an interview, Bledsoe offers a broader, more controversial interpretation. He believes that these encounters are part of a larger, unfolding pattern tied to forces beyond human understanding. In his view, the orbs represent a positive presence connected to clarity, unity, and heightened awareness. He compares this to the unseen negative influences that thrive on fear and division. Perhaps most striking is the tone of urgency behind his claims. While the orb itself appears calm and controlled, Bledsoe believes its increasing proximity signals that something is changing. He interprets the phenomenon as both a reassurance and a warning. Reassurance that a guiding force may exist, but a warning that the opportunity to align with it may not last forever. As the footage continues to circulate, it is clear that this UFO sighting has left many shocked and pushed the conversation around unidentified aerial phenomena into a more intense spotlight. UFO spotted in North Carolina. A quiet afternoon in North Carolina has suddenly become the center of a chilling mystery that is sparking debate. It started as a routine drone flight over Ayden District Park, but it quickly turned into something far more unsettling. On October 26, 2016, a retired U.S. Air Force veteran launched his drone equipped with a high-resolution 4K camera, expecting nothing more than scenic aerial footage. But what he discovered later left the seasoned investigators and ufologists stunned. While reviewing the video, he noticed a strange object. It was invisible during the actual flight, but in the video, he saw it streak across the frame in a blink-and-you-miss-it instant. The object appeared for just a fraction of a second, visible in only about 10 frames. Yet, within that tiny window, it seemed to travel an astonishing distance, up to a mile in roughly 1/3 of a second. As experts analyzed the footage, they realized that the speed could range between 10,000 and 13,000 miles per hour, far beyond the capabilities of any known aircraft. Even more puzzling, the object flew extremely low, about 50 feet above the ground, and passed directly beneath the drone without making any sound. The witness, who had decades of aviation experience, said he didn't see or hear anything unusual at the time. It was only during playback that the anomaly revealed itself, raising questions about how something so fast and low could go completely unnoticed. The footage was quickly submitted to the Mutual UFO Network, MUFON, one of the world's leading organizations investigating unexplained aerial phenomena. From there, it was reportedly forwarded to NASA, further fueling speculation that this was no ordinary sighting. Yet, despite analysis, no definitive explanation has emerged. Of course, not everyone is convinced. Skeptics have argued that the object could be something far less extraordinary, perhaps a bird, an insect close to the camera, or a visual glitch caused by lighting or motion blur. Investigators have also considered these possibilities. Interestingly, the insights from aviation experts have suggested caution when interpreting such clips. After all, when there are short sightings with only a few frames, it becomes difficult to determine whether the object is truly unusual or simply misunderstood. So what exactly was captured that day in Ayden? A hypersonic craft beyond current technology? A trick of perspective and motion? Or something else entirely? The footage remains unsolved, but ufologists are still investigating shocking evidence in North Carolina. Mysterious sighting in Carolina.
Are y'all seeing what I'm seeing flying in the sky?
A chilling sighting over North Carolina has reignited fears and fascination about what is actually flying above us, and what the witnesses saw was far from ordinary. It began as a routine evening, but quickly turned into a moment of disbelief when residents looked up and saw what appeared to be a burning object tearing through the sky. At first, the witnesses thought it was a plane in distress that was about to crash. The object glowed intensely, streaking across the darkness with a fiery trail that suggested something was very wrong. Instead of falling, the object maintained speed and control, which defies how a damaged aircraft should behave. Witnesses have described it as moving with purpose, cutting through the sky at a low altitude and at a speed that felt almost unnatural. There was no sound of engines struggling, debris, or explosion. They simply saw the object crashing through the sky in an instant. Then, before their eyes, the object vanished. They never found the crash site, There was no emergency response, and there was no official explanation that confirmed what the people had seen. That silence has only caused people to suspect that there is a cover-up. Similar unexplained aerial events have been reported across the state in the past, including sightings of glowing orbs and fast-moving lights that didn't behave like any known aircraft. What makes this particular incident stand out is the sheer intensity of the encounter. It wasn't just a distant flicker in the sky or a stationary light that they mistook for a star. Instead, it was actually a fast, low, and burning object that moved in a controlled manner. Ufologists and experts are wondering what kind of technology could behave this way, as it's nothing from this world. Some skeptics have suspected that these might be military exercises or aerial flares as explanations for these mysterious lights in the region, as these North Carolina sightings were linked to some training activities, but they still can't explain the speed, trajectory, and disappearance of this strange object. So, what did people really see that night? Was it a secret military craft or a space debris burning through the atmosphere? Or something far more unsettling that comes from another planet? We are still trying to understand this. Other glowing orb sightings. To make these investigations even more interesting, the reports of glowing orbs have been popping up around the world, and they aren't isolated incidents. This creates a pattern that is raising serious questions across multiple regions. In Indiana, a recent sighting stunned residents when at least 6 yellow-orange orbs appeared in the night sky near a military installation. Witnesses described the objects as hovering in formation, flickering with intensity, and then, without any warning, vanishing into thin air. What made this UFO sighting even more unsettling was their coordination. These weren't random lights drifting aimlessly, but they were moving like a group, almost like they were connected or following a shared command. There are other reports from the same region which describe similar balls of light behaving in ways that defy simple explanation. Witnesses have spotted lights changing direction suddenly, dimming, brightening, and even appearing to react to observers on the ground. It's this sense of responsiveness that has pushed these sightings beyond curiosity. Then there's the Mojave Desert, which is a location that has been long associated with unexplained aerial phenomena. Here, witnesses captured footage of glowing orbs appearing suddenly in the sky, hovering in small clusters. They didn't make any sound and there was no visible propulsion. It was just light, floating, steady, and controlled. And just as mysteriously as they appeared, they disappeared with no smoke, trail, or trace left behind. Back on the East Coast in North Carolina, there have been similar luminous objects reported, often described as moving with precision and purpose. These objects don't behave like drones, planes, or a random natural atmospheric event. Instead, they glide, hover, and accelerate in a way that seems almost calculated. But there are some factors that tie all these sightings together, and that's the behavior of the orbs. They show silent movement, sudden vanishing, and coordinated formations. That's not something we would expect from known technology, and it's clear that this is something otherworldly. Skeptics have argued that these orbs might be experimental aircraft made by the military or military flares. But those explanations aren't solid because these orbs have been spotted around the world, and the government has not given any statement. Fast-moving lights in Oregon. Not only in North Carolina, but in other places around the world, there have been clear sightings of UFOs, although not all of them come with clear photos and videos. In Oregon, multiple commercial pilots reported fast-moving, unexplained lights over the skies of Oregon during routine flights, and that created one of the most alarming aviation encounters in the region. At least 4 pilots independently spotted strange circular lights moving at extremely high speeds across different altitudes. These weren't distant stationary glows or normal aerial traffic. Pilots described them as active, responsive objects that shifted direction rapidly and sometimes seemed to move in coordinated patterns. What made the situation even more unsettling was how it unfolded in real time between the pilots and air traffic control. As the objects entered controlled airspace, the pilots started reporting visual confirmation of multiple bright lights moving unpredictably, some climbing to extreme altitudes, while others were darting horizontally at speeds that no normal aircraft could match. In one of the most shocking moments, the pilots were instructed by air traffic control to adjust their flight paths to avoid the unidentified objects. That instruction alone has made the routine sighting a serious aviation concern, especially since air traffic controllers don't usually want to admit the existence of UFOs. Witnesses spotted that the lights were glowing red, orange, or white spheres, sometimes appearing to approach the aircraft before suddenly disappearing or changing direction. Some pilots at first thought they might be satellites or atmospheric reflections, but the rapid acceleration and erratic motion made those explanations difficult to sustain. Even more puzzling, multiple aircraft in the same region observed similar activity at nearly the same time. So it is clear that this was not something isolated to a single cockpit or angle of view. Instead, it was seen by many people on multiple flights, and that has made these UFO sightings even more credible. While authorities have not confirmed the nature of the lights, some experts have suggested possible explanations, such as satellite clusters or atmospheric effects. However, many pilots involved remain unconvinced, describing what they saw as far too dynamic and responsive to fit those categories. The incident has since become part of a growing list of unexplained aerial encounters reported by both civilian and military pilots across the United States. And in Oregon's case, the fact that trained aviation professionals had to actively maneuver around unknown objects in controlled airspace is what continues to make this event stand out. Massive craft spotted in Alaska. There have also been credible sightings spotted in Alaska, especially the Cook Inlet region, where a large, unexplained aerial object was witnessed by hundreds of people, and that made it one of the most striking mass sighting claims. The event involved a huge, starship-like object hovering silently above the landscape. Witnesses described it as enormous, stretching far across the sky, glowing with multiple lights, and moving without any visible noise or conventional propulsion. The craft is of extreme size, appearing far larger than typical aircraft. What made this sighting especially compelling was the number of independent witnesses. Rather than a single report or isolated video, hundreds of people in the area allegedly saw the same object from different locations. Some even reported calling local stations or discussing it publicly the next day, claiming they all observed the same hovering structure casting reflections over the water. This kind of mass corroboration is what often fuels credibility in UFO discussions, even when no official explanation is provided. The object remained visible for several minutes, moving slowly, hovering, and then disappearing completely without debris, sound, or any trace of departure. Rendlesham Forest sighting.
We have a sighting of some unusual lights in the sky. Have sent some unarmed troops to investigate. We are terming it as a UFO at present.
We're about 150 or 200 yards from the site. Everything else is just deathly calm. There's no doubt about it. There's some type of strange flashing red light ahead. Still. 7 tenths right there in the center. We found a small blast, what looks like a blasted or scrubbed up area here. We got very positive ratings. Let's see, is that near the center? Yes, it is. This is what we assume would be the dead center. The indentations look like something twisted as it got, as it sat down on them. Looks like someone took something and sat it down and twisted it from side to side. Very strange. Hey, this is Erie. Welcome to the hotspot. This is strange. We're hearing very strange sounds out of the farmers' barnyard animals. They're very, very active, making an awful lot of noise. I just saw a light there. Wait, you guys slow down. Where? Yeah, there it is. Oh, yeah, I see it too. What is it? We don't know, sir.
Ufologists are also investigating the Rendlesham Forest sighting, which refers to a series of unexplained events that took place in December 1980 near a U.S. military base in Rendlesham Forest, and it has since become one of the most famous alleged UFO encounters in the UK. What makes this case so shocking is that it wasn't just one witness. It involved multiple trained military personnel who reported seeing strange lights in the forest over several nights. They described glowing objects moving through the trees, changing shape, and behaving in ways that didn't match any known aircraft at the time. Some even claimed the lights reacted to their presence, as if they were being observed in return. The most intense part of the incident came when a patrol, led by U.S. Air Force personnel, reportedly entered the forest and encountered a bright, hovering object. Witnesses described it as metallic or triangular in appearance, emitting beams of light and moving silently between the trees. At one point, it was claimed the object appeared to split into multiple lights before disappearing entirely. What followed only deepened the mystery. Some members of the team reported physical traces on the ground, including unusual markings and damaged vegetation that looked like a possible landing site. Others noted radiation readings and strange environmental effects, although skeptics later argued that some of these readings may have been misinterpreted or caused by faulty equipment. One of the most discussed pieces of evidence is an audio recording made during the patrol, where the commanding officer can be heard reacting in real time to unexplained lights moving through the forest. That recording, along with written military reports, is why many researchers still consider the case unusually well documented compared to typical UFO sightings. However, not everyone agrees on what happened. Official explanations have pointed to natural causes such as a nearby lighthouse, meteor activity, and misidentified stars, suggesting the lights may have been optical illusions combined with heightened stress and confusion in the dark forest. Still, the incident refuses to fade away. Supporters argue that the number of credible witnesses, combined with physical reports and military involvement, makes it difficult to dismiss entirely. Whether it was misidentification, experimental technology, or something truly unknown, Rendlesham Forest remains one of the most debated and unsettling UFO cases ever recorded. Military and government acknowledgement of UFOs. Military and government acknowledgement of UFOs, now more commonly called UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomena, has grown significantly in recent years, shifting the topic from fringe speculation into formal national security discussion. For decades, UFO reports were largely dismissed or kept classified, but that approach has changed. In 2021, the U.S. intelligence community released an official report confirming hundreds of unexplained military encounters, stating that at least 400 cases had been documented by pilots and radar systems, with many remaining unresolved. These were not random sightings from the public, but structured observations made during training missions and active operations. The turning point came with increased transparency from defense agencies, especially after the release of Navy video footage showing unidentified objects tracked by military sensors. These recordings included fast-moving, rotating, and accelerating objects that did not match known aircraft performance. Some of these encounters involved objects moving at extreme speeds, hovering silently, or making sudden directional changes that would be impossible for conventional flight technology. In public congressional hearings, defense officials confirmed that UAP reports are frequent and ongoing, and that some incidents involve near misses with military aircraft. Importantly, officials have repeatedly stated that while many cases remain unexplained, there is currently no confirmed evidence linking these objects to extraterrestrial origin. However, they also admit that some behavior patterns defy easy classification. More recent hearings and whistleblower testimonies have added fuel to the debate. Some officials and former military personnel have claimed that certain UAPs demonstrate advanced capabilities, including silent hovering, sudden acceleration, and possible shape-shifting appearances. These claims remain unverified, but they have pushed governments to expand formal investigations and reporting systems. In 2023 and 2024, congressional discussions further emphasized that UAPs are not just a scientific curiosity, but a potential national security issue. The concern is not necessarily where they come from, but what they are capable of doing, especially when they appear near restricted airspace, military bases, or active operations. The photo that this man captured of the clearest UFO orb ever is gaining traction online and raising questions. What do you think it was? Let's know your thoughts in the comments.